Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be exploring the Bridgewater Commons Mall in Bridgewater, New Jersey. And this mall is very special to me because this is the mall I grew up going to when I was a kid in the 90s and then later my teenage years in the 2000s. I have a lot of great memories of this mall and I love this mall a lot. And in the near future, this mall is going to be going through some changes. They're going to be updating the appearance of the inside of the mall. So I want to go and show you this mall before those changes happen. We're going to talk about the future of this mall. I'm going to share with you some of my memories. Let's go check out Bridgewater Commons. Alrighty, here we are inside Bridgewater Commons, and this is a Tuesday, so it's going to be a little quiet here. But this is a mall that's doing very well for itself. Despite all the problems retail is facing, this mall's still doing really well. And so this is Anthropologie Weddings, but when I was a kid, it was Walden Books, and I absolutely loved Walden Books. We need more bookstores in the world. I'm glad that independent chains are starting to thrive. And now underneath this escalator, you used to be able to walk back here. There's a wall there, but you used to be able to go underneath it. There was like a kiosk selling like t-shirts and things like that. And over here, like this wall used to be further back, there was actually like a bakery stand here, and we would come and get croissants every time we would go to the mall. So Anthropologie just opened up here, and this used to be a Uniqlo. And this was, I think, one of the first Uniqlos to open up in New Jersey. But when I was a kid, I remember down here was KB Toys, and that was my favorite store as a kid. And over here was a record store. It was called The Wall, but it later became FYE. But let's just take a look at this mall and how beautiful it is. Just very wide open. This is actually a 3-floor mall, and you can see these beautiful lampposts. Now, I don't know if the lampposts are going to remain after the renovations here. I hope they keep them, but I'm not sure. Let's just get a close-up look at those. Absolutely beautiful vibe here at this mall. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is actually the original flooring from when the mall first opened up back in 1989. So I'm not sure if they're going to change the flooring or not. I do want to point out that a lot of things have been painted white, and that was just a recent change that happened. Before, it was all sorts of like beige and salmon tones, a lot of like teal green, but I think they're just going with the straight up white color. Over here we have this beautiful split staircase. They're actually adding a Pandora store here. But over here we have this beautiful split staircase. And this is an original feature of the mall. And again, they just repainted this white. Previously this had more color to it, and I'll show you some pictures of what it used to look like. Over here is the Lord & Taylor. And this closed, I think, in 2020, and it's just been sitting here unused. And now there were talks to bring in like an amusement center here, possibly like a Round One or a Dave & Buster's, but that hasn't happened yet. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here at the vacant Lord & Taylor, but I think Pacific Realty has plans for it. Selfie spot. Yeah, so they still have live plants here. And look at this lovely little planter that wraps around the staircase here. Very nice feature. I think they're going to keep this. They better keep it. And now Swarovski here. This used to be a candy store, and it was called Candy Co. And it had like bright neon lights and stuff. And I remember my sisters and we would always go in there and buy like bags of candy and then smuggle it into the movie theater because we didn't want to pay at the concession stand. Over here on the left, I believe used to be a WB Looney Tunes store. Now back in the 90s, like themed stores like that were really popular. I want to say it was over here, but I could be wrong. But anyway, they had like a big Bugs Bunny and Donald Duck. And I think like Tasmanian Devil was up on the second floor here holding like plants to throw them around. That was a really fun store. But again, those didn't last. So over this way, we're making our way to the center court of the mall. And just look at how big and open this is. This is a really beautiful mall. At least I think so. And now down below, we have pictures with the Easter Bunny, all decorated for spring. But if we look here, You see that like center platform there? There used to be a large elevator that extended all the way up to the 3rd floor, and they removed that sometime in the early 2000s. I'm going to show you later on in the video a picture of what this view used to look like. It used to be absolutely stunningly beautiful in this mall. It still is, and the changes coming forward, it's going to be different, but I don't think it's going to be bad. But we'll get into that later. So now they briefly had like topiaries hanging from this ceiling here in the center court. I'll show you a picture of what that looked like. It was a very interesting touch. In recent years, they went with sort of like a garden theme to this mall. And there used to be potted plants around here. They removed those just recently. But I think in the future, it's going to look really nice. I'm going to take a little walk out to this platform here. Sort of like a little viewing balcony, but this is where the elevator used to be. Used to be a large glass elevator here, and I'll show you some pictures of that later on in the video. But now we can walk out onto it and just get a nice little view of the center court here. Let's just take in them all. And I guess the next time we'll be seeing this, it'll be looking somewhat different. And so they have shows here. Like, I guess they just recently had a Pokemon card show, and they have like cultural events. I know they have like Chinese New Year, stuff like that. So this mall, it serves as a community hub, which I think is really great. And down there we have the Easter Bunny. Let's say hi to the Easter Bunny. So now this store behind me is ALO. I'm not really sure what that is, but it's a brand new addition to this mall. But I remember when I was a kid, it used to be a store called the Nature Company, and it was absolutely amazing. It was my favorite store growing up. They sold sort of like nature-themed toys, science, educational stuff. You could buy like gemstones and fossils and all kinds of stuff. And the vibe in the store was just absolutely incredible. And I absolutely loved it. It was the main reason I wanted to come to this mall. And then it later became the Discovery Channel store, which was sort of the same thing, but not quite as cool. And then that all sadly closed. So they recently changed these lampposts to being like a globe light. I'm not really sure what's up with that. They only changed these 3, and they painted the one black. Maybe they're experimenting with like a new style. I don't know if they're going to change them all or keep them. I'm not sure what's going to happen. But I hope they keep the lampposts. Lolly and Pops, candy store, and they have a Lego store. This is a lot of fun. If you're a kid, you love the Lego store. If you're an adult, you also love the Lego store. And what do they have here? Star Wars. Very cool. And now this way takes us down towards the Macy's. Over here is Fogo de Chao. And this was a recent addition to the mall. Now, Fogo de Chao, it's a Brazilian steakhouse. It's a really high-end dining experience. They come around to your table with like meat on skewers, and they cut off pieces for you. So the fact that a restaurant like Fogo de Chao is opening up in a mall like this, it's a sign that this mall is doing very well. It's a healthy mall. It's not struggling. And I think it's because the owners are dedicated to taking care of this mall and keeping it alive. And now one thing I do want to point out, they've repainted these railings white. These used to be more colorful. And I believe they've painted some of the panels on this wall white. So I don't like that they're taking out the color in the mall. But I guess I'm just going to have to deal with that. But we'll see how these changes come. I think overall this mall is in good hands. So here we have a Macy's. This is one of the original anchors from when this mall opened up in 1989. And now many Macy's across the country were other stores previously, and they rebranded as Macy's when all the different department stores became under the one parent company. This was always a Macy's, and it has some really unique old school features in it, and we're going to go check those out in just a second. So here in the center we have these mirrored escalators and this beautiful skylight with these mirrored accent pieces, and this is all original 1989 decor here in this Macy's. And it's just absolutely stunning to see it in person. Let's see if we can get a good look at that. It's a little tough to get a good angle, but that's just absolutely gorgeous. All right, let's head down to the bottom floor. This is a 3-floor mall, and I think this may be the only 3-floor mall in New Jersey. I'm not sure of any other ones. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But again, we have the original tile from when this mall opened. And now this escalator used to go from the bottom floor all the way up to the 3rd floor. But then I think they changed it at some point in the mall's history. And recently there used to be a mural on the underside of this escalator. It used to be like a flower picture, but I think they got rid of that for the upcoming changes. And this spot right here, I think, was a Payless Shoes. I want to say this was an old Payless. And let's just enjoy the vibe here at the Bridgewater Mall. This one's a real beauty. I love this mall so much. I'm so glad I grew up going to this mall, and I think this is why I love them all so much. Now this store here, when I was a kid, this was a Brentano's bookstore. I don't remember it very well, but I remember there was Brentano's here, and then in another spot in the mall there was Walden Books. And I want to point out something interesting here. Do you see in this tile it says the Commons Collection? Each floor of this mall used to have its own name. I think the top floor was the campus, the second floor was the promenade, and down here on the bottom it was the Commons Collection. And they still have this old engraving here for it. I don't know when they stopped going by those names, but they used to have a special name for each section. Kind of an interesting thing. Yeah, and this floor is kind of quieter than the other floors, but looks like they are using this as a community room. Okay, that's what this is. Something else I want to say about this mall is they always have community events going on here. They have like holiday events, they have fashion shows. At one point they even had like some kind of robot battle for STEM students. I came here and in the center court there were like robots having some kind of like arena battle. It was really wild. I really don't know what it was. But that just shows why this mall is so successful, is because they retain their position as a community hub, which is what malls were created to be and what they should still be. And see this little square here in the tiles? I bet you there was a tree here when this mall first opened up. And there used to be a mural painted underneath here. There used to be like a flower scene underneath this platform and these escalators. I'll show you a picture of that, but they just recently removed that, I guess to make way for the changes coming to this mall. So now this is kind of like the quiet part of the mall. Up ahead is the closed Lord & Taylor. And this Williams-Sonoma, this has been here since the mall opened. Hasn't changed and it's still open. This AT&T, this used to be the Sharper Image. I remember that as a kid. And I couldn't go in there because they required you to be 18. And then when I finally did become 18 and I could go in, I really didn't understand why they had the place age restricted, because all it was just like tech gadgets and things like that. Well, let's take a look at this little quiet corner of the mall. Yeah, this used to be the Lord & Taylor. It was a 3-floor Lord & Taylor here. And I don't know what it's going to become in the future. So this mall opened up in 1989, and the original anchors were a Hanes, which later became the Lord & Taylor's, Stearns, which became Bloomingdale's, and then Macy's. And I kind of feel like I grew up with this mall. When I was a kid, there was only the Phillipsburg Mall, and it was kind of far, and my family didn't go there very often. And then when this mall opened up, it was kind of like the go-to for shopping. We did all our Christmas shopping here. We'd come here and hang out on weekends. And I loved it. It was just a magical place. And I'm happy it's still here. I'm happy it's still doing well. And I feel like although changes are coming, and I'm not happy that the mall is going to be losing some of its original character, I feel like the owners of this mall are really dedicated to keeping this mall alive as a shopping destination. So many malls have fallen into neglect, disrepair. So many malls have just been abandoned. So many malls have just been straight up demolished before they were even really like dead. So I'm just happy that this mall is going to stay here and it's going to thrive. Selfie spot. All right, so here we are in the food court, and we have a Pop Mart that just opened up. This is the hot place nowadays, home of the Labubu. Look at all these characters. This stuff's fun. I don't care what anybody says. I like this stuff. Oh, look at that. These are really neat. Look at these. I don't even know what all these things are because I'm old and I'm out of the loop on a lot of things, but I think they're cool. Fun little things. Oh, these are Demon Slayer. Again, the fact that this mall is bringing in hot stores like this one, just a sign that the parent company behind this mall is making smart decisions. And I feel good knowing that. So this Popeyes is new. This used to be a Sbarro pizza, and they have these touchscreen kiosks. Not really a old school mall experience, but I am a fan of Popeyes, so I'm not going to complain. So this is the food court, and I got to say, it's a really nice food court with a lot of great options. But this whole wall over here used to extend back further. It used to be almost twice the size that it is now, and it had a totally different vibe to it. It was very dark and dimly lit, and all the neon signs of all the different food stands just lit this place up. I have not been able to find any good pictures of the original food court, so if you happen to know of any, please send them my way. But yeah, the food court here, it was just incredible. Alrighty, so we're on the top floor, again walking towards the Macy's, and over here next to the Claire's, there's that store Hype World. That used to be a GameStop, and in the 90s, I believe, I don't remember which stores were it exactly, but there was a Suncoast over here and a Saturday Matinee. And those were great stores. My absolute favorites when I was a kid. I used to come here, buy VHS tapes, CDs, all that stuff. And now over here is Hot Topic. And now, I was kind of a mall goth growing up. I guess I still am a mall goth, but that was the place. Hot Topic. Let's get a view. Oh, so much natural light in here. It's just so beautiful. Just such a nice mall. Please come here if you have the chance. This mall gets kind of slept on as far as like mall enthusiasts go, but it's a nice one. At least I think so. All right, let's take a look at the directory. So as I said before, this is a 3-level mall. Bottom floor here, it's a little bit smaller. And then we have top floor. These are the anchors. We have the Bloomingdale's, the vacant Lord & Taylor, and the Macy's. So as you can see, this is actually a very big mall. And I think it's actually worked in its favor. Whereas a lot of big malls have been struggling, this one, it's been doing pretty well. And so this is owned by Pacific Retail property, and I want to say they've owned it for the past 2 or 3 years. This mall has changed hands several times. I want to say it was actually owned by Rouse at one point. I think Simon briefly owned it, but now it's Pacific Retail. And they seem to be dedicated to keeping it alive as a mall, which makes me very happy. I really hope they don't take out these lampposts, though. So this hallway leads us down to the AMC movie theater. And over here on this wall, they have this really neat abstract mural. And now I like this mural. It's very bright and colorful. But there was a different one that used to be on this wall. And it depicted the Four Seasons as 3 different sisters. And it had sort of that Global Village coffee house aesthetic to it. I think I have some old footage of it. I'm going to put that in here. But here's the artist behind this mural, Lois O'Hara. I think that malls should feature artwork wherever they can. You know, it's always nicer to see a mural than it is to see a blank wall. I know over here is the AMC, and this was originally a General Cinemas when I was a kid, and I saw so many good movies here. All the old 90s Disney movies, so many great movies as a kid, and I think I saw all the Batman movies. Just great memories made here. And then they changed it to the dine-in theater, and I kind of stopped going because that's just not really my thing, but it seems like it's doing well here. I'm pretty sure that this Champs Sports has been here since the mall opened, because I remember being a kid and getting out of a movie and walking down this hallway, and the Champs was always there. So I think it's been there since 1989, or at least close to that date. I feel so old. Let's just take another look down here at the center area. Such a beautiful mall. PacSun, that's been there a long time. And I think that's the old logo. I don't think you see that one too often anymore. Kendra Scott, that's a new store. Yeah, so they're opening up new stores. They're keeping the mall fresh. They take care of the mall. This is not a dead mall, and I don't care what anybody says. Anybody tries to say that this is a dead mall or a dying mall. This is a thriving mall. And I know it's very quiet right now, but I'm here at a quiet time. And here we have another mural, another bright, colorful, abstract mural. You know, malls in the past always featured art, whether it was sculptures or paintings, just general forms of art. And it's cool to see that you can still see them in 2026, in the era of malls decline. And this is an artist, Nick Metz. Okay, I'm not familiar with him. Okay, very cool. He's from New Jersey. Oh, that's cool. Shout out Nick Metz. Love this beautiful, beautiful art piece here in the mall. All right, I'm going to be naughty here and take a little sneak peek into the old Lord & Taylor. Let's get another look at this split staircase. Very cool. But again, I'm sad that they've painted it white. Used to have some color to it. And I get that you need to repaint things every once in a while, but I don't know. Could get a little more color in it. And the railings here. Railings used to have color, now they're painted white. And look at this little panel here with the mall's original logo. It's kind of scraped off. Let me go see if I can find a different one that looks nicer. Yeah, here we go. Here's the mall's original logo. Can you see that? I don't know if they still use that, but that's what it was when it first opened back in 1989. And Miniso, this is another recent opening, another very popular mall store with all the toys and trinkets and things like that. Again, another sign that this mall is doing very well. Auntie Anne's. Now they just changed the front of that one. That used to be more old school. They just updated that one. Not sure I like the new one as much, but whatever. I love Auntie Anne's. It's the heart and soul of any mall. The hot pretzel. We're making our way towards the Bloomingdale's. I don't think there are very many Bloomingdale's in malls anymore. I don't know. At least I don't see them very often. But that was formerly a Stearns when this mall first opened up. Lots of nice real plants in this mall. That makes me happy. I hope they keep these. And this used to be like an eyeglass store, like glasses and things. It wasn't Pearl Vision, but it was something similar. And then it later became a convenience store, and I guess that closed. Now they have some nice flowers in front of it. Okay, and this is a look at the Bloomingdale's. Look at that skylight. Not super retro looking, but I thought you'd at least want to see a little peek inside here. I did not see that guy behind me. And so we have Uncle Julio's Mexican, which is sort of like a little bit of a higher-end Mexican restaurant. And the entrance to Fogo de Chao, which is a very, very fancy dining experience. I've been to Fogo de Chao once, and it was really something. So this has always sort of positioned itself as like a higher-end mall. I'd say it's kind of like high to mid, but I think that's kind of helped it weather the storms. Let's go outside real quick. I just want to show you these restaurants from the outside. Yeah, so this is Fogo de Chao. And over here is Uncle Julio's. And this, I want to say, was it McCormick and Schmidt? It was something different before then. But over here, and this doesn't have a mall entrance, is a Cheesecake Factory. So, again, another thing you see in a healthy mall, which are these thriving restaurants, which are still doing well, still getting people coming here and eating at them. Yeah, there we go. Cheesecake Factory. Cheesecake Factory is the best. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, and get a look at this mall. Very beautiful from the outside as well. And now exterior shots of this were used in the movie North, starring Elijah Wood. If you remember that movie, you probably don't. School bus coming by. But yeah, the exteriors were used for the movie North, starring Elijah Wood. And over here we have the Macy's. Let's take a walk over to that Macy's. I want to just show you the exterior of it. Yeah, look at this Macy's with this green tinted glass on it. I don't think I've ever seen another one that looks quite like this one. Definitely a unique one. And it just has that like seafoam green color to it, which is always what I associate with 90s malls. Just that greenish tint. Everything was painted that color. We got these gold nameplates here. Just a very, very interesting looking mall. At least I think so. You know, I geek out about things like this. I'm like, are people really like excited about the green paint at Macy's? I don't know. But if you're watching this, I'm glad. Thank you for enjoying me and my goober obsessions. So that's going to wrap it up for today's tour of the mall. But I do want to show you some renderings on what this mall is going to look like in the future. And then I want to show you some vintage photos of this mall and what it used to look like back in the day. This is a rendering of what the mall is going to look like in the future. So let me just say what I really don't like about this is that they've painted everything white and it looks like they've removed the lampposts. I really hope that they don't go through with that because I will miss those lampposts very much. But what I do like about this are the live trees and the seating areas. Right now, the center court is just a big empty space, and I think that will be a nice addition to have those extra seats and some trees to liven it up. Here we have another view, and we can see in the center they're adding one of those AstroTurf play areas. That should be interesting to see, if people will actually use that or not. It looks like they're putting some sort of food stall on the former elevator platform, probably some sort of coffee shop or something like that, and I think that's a great choice. Because right now it's just sitting there empty, and it's the perfect spot for something like that. And this is the new food court, and it looks like they've just updated the seating and added some trees. But again, everything is painted that stark white color, which I really don't like. So overall, this update, it's not the worst thing that I've ever seen. I would really like if they had more color in it, but adding the greenery and the seating areas, I think will be a positive thing for this mall. Generally speaking, I'm just not a big fan of modern design. I always prefer classic designs. I like seeing places retain their original character. But if this is the update we're going to get for this mall, I guess I'm alright with it. So I'm trying to stay positive about the changes coming. Now let's take a look at some vintage photos of this mall and see what it used to look like back in the day. It's really hard to find good pictures of this mall from back in the day, and I've kind of accumulated these from various different sources. I think I found this one on the website for the mall on the Wayback Machine. And here we can see what the old mall kiosks used to look like. And here we can see what the elevator used to look like before they removed it. Just a beautiful centerpiece for this mall, and I think it was a mistake that they ever got rid of it. And you'll notice at the base of the elevator is a piano, and that was an automatic piano, so it would just play music on its own. They were going for kind of like a fancy vibe at this mall. And there are live trees that were just planted right into the floor, a really beautiful touch. And here we have a closer look at the elevator, and you'll notice the store in the background. That's an old Banana Republic, back when they had sort of like a jungle safari theme to it. Believe it or not, Banana Republic used to be kind of a wacky store. And as I mentioned before, this mall used to have names for each section of the mall. The top floor was known as the campus, and they had this big sign hanging up in the food court. I think they got rid of that when they updated the food court in the early 2000s. And here we can get a good, clear look at what the elevator used to look like. We can see that it had almost like an Art Deco style to it, and up on the top of it was a clock, and it said Bridgewater in like a little arch above it. Here we can see the base of the elevator, and I actually found these pictures on the website for the construction company that removed the elevator. So these pictures must have been from like the mid to late 2000s. So the next series of photos are from the mall's opening in 1988. I know in the video I said it was 1989. I was off by a year. Please don't yell at me. It was 1988 that this mall opened. And these are from a book that showcased beautiful malls during the time period. And thank you to Dead Malls of Discord for coming through with these photos. Shout out to all the cool people over there. And this is the entrance where we first entered the mall earlier in the video, and it looks almost exactly the same. And here's the mall entrance at night. Imagine what it would be like to walk through those doors and see the mall back in 1988 again. And this is what the food court looked like before they changed it. How beautiful is that? It had sort of like this overhanging lattice structure with all these plants hanging from it. And again, if you look on the left-hand side, you can see the sign for the campus level. It just had such a beautiful vibe to it, and it was about twice as big as it is now. Here we can see some of the food stalls with their bright neon signs. It feels so good to be able to look at this again. Now, some of the food places I remember the most were a place called Surfside Spuds that sold boardwalk fries and baked potatoes. There was Hot Dog on a Stick serving up fresh corn dogs. And there was a place called Roly Boly, and they would take like a little pizza crust and they'd fill it with cheese and toppings, and then they would roll it up like a stromboli and put it through this conveyor belt oven, and it would come out hot and crispy. It was absolutely amazing. Does anybody else remember Roly Boly? They had a couple locations in New Jersey. And here we can see the Bridgewater Mall in all its former glory. How beautiful is this picture? I actually use this picture as the wallpaper on my desktop. I want to close in on some of the little details of this photo here. Here on the bottom level, we can see all kinds of plants and these little gazebo seating areas. I had completely forgotten about those. And we can see that piano still there at the base of the elevator. And here on the second level, we can see an old school Disney store. And this was actually the first Disney store to open outside of the state of California. And I remember going there as a kid and absolutely loving it. And up on the top level is where the food court is. And it's a little tough to see, but if you look on the far left, you can see that store with sort of a purple sign up on top. That was the old Sam Goody, and I remember it so well. and I miss it every day. That store was amazing. And let's just get another look at the top of the elevator. There's just so much beauty in this mall, and it's all been forgotten about, and it's kind of sad. So I'm glad I could find these photos and share them with you folks. You know, I'm a really nostalgic person. I don't like it when things change. I don't like it when stuff that I'm used to is different. In a time when so many malls have closed, have been demolished, have fallen into ruin, I'm grateful to know that the mall that I have so many memories at is still alive and doing well, and that the people who own the mall are committed to keeping it alive and keeping it running as a mall. So that makes me very happy. So I hope you enjoyed this look at Bridgewater Commons Mall. Hope you enjoyed me sharing some of my memories of this place. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe to see me on future adventures. If you want to support the channel, check out my Patreon page or consider becoming a channel member. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Special thank you to all my Patreon supporters and channel members. Your support makes this channel possible.